All right, everybody, welcome back. You wanted it, and we're delivering it. A full deep dive into Santa Flow. I mean, wow, this guy.
Yeah, I know.
This is something else, right? Reggaeton Christmas. Who would have thought?
Yeah, definitely something I never would have thought of. It's an interesting combination.
Yeah. So let's jump into it. For the people out there who have never even heard of Santa Flow.
Right.
What is this all about? Who is this guy?
Well, Santa Flow, I mean, it's pretty much what it sounds like. He's this really interesting artist, and he kind of blends together a bunch of these Latin music influences, right? Like traditional reggaeton with like merengue, bachata, reggae even.
Oh, wow.
And he blends that with this Christmas sound. Very traditional Christmas element.
So what, like Jingle Bells, but like reggaeton style?
Kind of, yeah. But I mean, he also does original stuff too. And he's really talented. I mean, he incorporates a lot of like traditional instruments, like the guira and tambora.
Okay.
To make it like a very authentic sound. Like it's both familiar and new at the same time,
So he's not just like throwing a beat on top of like a Christmas song.
No.
He's really going deep into it.
Yeah, he's really trying to create something new and different,
Yeah, that's cool. I noticed, I was listening to some of his music to prep for this.
Right.
And some of his song titles, man, like right off the bat, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Fiesta en la Playa. That's just like, I mean, come on.
It's like a Christmas beach party.
Yeah.
And like Descalzo on la arena blanca. Like that just screams like, warm tropical Christmas vibe.
Right, yeah. Like instead of being all bundled up by the fire.
Exactly.
You're out on the beach.
Palm trees and
Yeah, it's a whole different vibe.
And I think that's really what's so special about him, Like he's taking this traditional Christmas idea and kind of flipping it on its head and creating something totally fresh and modern.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I also noticed, too, just the energy he brings. Like he's always smiling in these videos.
Yeah, always.
Always looks like he's having a great time.
He just has this really joyful, charismatic personality. And I think that really comes through in his music, too.
Yeah, that's really cool. So he's born to Boricua and Dominican parents.
Yeah.
And he's using these traditional instruments and mixing those genres and then bringing in the Christmas. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of intentional? Like what's the thought behind that?
Yeah, he definitely seems really intentional about that. Like he wants to reinvent the Christmas season,
Okay.
But also honor his roots. I was reading this interview where he talks about like bringing joy and dance and, flow to the whole world.
Right.
But like still staying true to like his heritage and traditions.
Oh, that's really cool. Like I really like that. You know what I mean? Like it's not just about taking something and changing it.
Right.
It's about like bridging cultures together.
Yeah. Like a fusion.
Yeah. So you mentioned he has some original songs. Are there any that stand out to you that we should check out?
Yeah. Well, definitely, like we mentioned before, Fiesta en la Playa and the Descalzo en Arena Blanca.
Wow.
But there's also this one called Santa Flow Llego al Barrio.
Oh, okay.
And it's very street-style reggaeton. Like it's announcing Santa Flow arrival, but, not in the traditional way. Like instead of reindeer, it's more like,
Like a low rider sleigh.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's another one called Santa Flow Llega Dominicana, which is very merengue heavy and like really pays homage to his Dominican heritage. And I think that one's really cool because he actually throws in some Spanish lyrics about Santa arriving on the shores of the Dominican Republic.
Oh, nice.
And it's really catchy and it's a lot of fun.
So, I mean, obviously his music is a big part of this, but I'm curious, what else is he doing? Like what other projects does he have going on?
Well, one of the things I thought was really interesting is he actually has a Curious podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's called Santa Flow, La Historia y el Ritmo de la Navidad. And it's all about, it blends the history of Christmas music with different, like, cultural influences.
Oh, that's cool. So like a deep dive into Christmas music, but through his lens.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. He interviews a bunch of different people, experts from different countries and backgrounds.
Wow.
And they talk about, like, how Christmas music has evolved and how it's celebrated around the world.
It's cool.
And then, of course, he's always working on new music.
Right.
And he's been doing a lot of collaborations with local and international artists.
I mean, that's got to be really interesting to see what he comes up with next, like who he collaborates with and what kind of music comes out of that.
Yeah. I know there are rumors that he might be working with a pretty big Latin pop artist.
Oh, wow.
For his next album. So, that could be huge.
Yeah. That could really expose him to a lot of new people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the music, we talked about the podcast, but I got to ask.
Yeah.
The look. I mean,
Yeah.
Santa Flow, he's got a very distinct look.
Yes, he does.
How would you describe that?
Yeah, he definitely has like a modern Santa vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like he still wears the traditional red,
Right.
but like instead of the, the big fluffy coat, he's usually wearing like a bomber jacket.
All right.
And, sometimes a hat, sometimes not.
Yeah.
And then, he always has on like a cool pair of sneakers, some gold chains, maybe some aviator sunglasses.
Yeah. It's like Santa, but like he's ready to go out and...
Ready to party.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So for people who are hearing about Santa Flow for the first time and they want to check him out, where should they go?
So his main platform is YouTube. He's got a channel there called The Crown Revolution Records.
Okay.
And you can find all his music videos there.
All right.
And actually his podcast episodes are there as well.
Okay.
If you look up Santa Flow, La Historia y el Ritmo de la Navidad playlist, you'll find all those episodes there. And then he's also on TikTok. His handle is at Mr. Karaoke Live.
Perfect. So after doing this deep dive into Santa Flow, I'm curious, what do you think is like the big takeaway here?
I think the big takeaway is, Santa Flow isn't just an artist. I think he's like a cultural movement almost.
Yeah.
Like he's blending music and heritage and this holiday spirit in a way that I've never really seen before.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Yeah, and he's proof that you can honor your traditions and still be innovative and modern and push creative boundaries and spread joy at the same time.
Yeah, and I think it's also really interesting how this ties into like the evolution of traditions. Like how we celebrate things.
Definitely.
How those things change over time.
Yeah.
And how the next generation is going to shape those traditions.
Yeah. And it kind of makes you wonder what other traditions are out there that are just waiting to be reinvented.
That's a good question. What other unexpected fusions are waiting to be discovered?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, Santa Flow has definitely earned a spot on my playlist this year. I'm excited to keep following him and seeing what he does next.
Yeah, me too.
If you guys haven't checked him out yet, definitely go give him a listen. It's time to get your tropical Christmas groove on.
Happy holidays.
All right. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.